We are witnessing a new phenomenon that can only be defined as Grand Sport hysteria, where we are so excited about a C8 Grand Sport that every time a new bit of Corvette information gets discovered, we all point at it and say, look, that's proof that Chevy is making a C8 Grand Sport. And probably my favorite example of this is when GM Authority reported that a C8 Corvette with Buick center caps on the wheels was proof that Chevy was testing a new Grand Sport. And hey, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but I think we all need to calm down a little, let Chevy do their thing, and sometime this year, the Grand Sport will officially be revealed.
Leg it down and smack 'em, yak 'em. Cold got to be.
Which is obviously going to be a huge deal, and here's why. When it comes to Corvettes, the Grand Sport is sort of the porridge that Goldilocks ate. Everything about it is just right. It's powerful but not overwhelming like the ZR1. It's got the aggressive looks and extreme downforce for track performance, but it's not incredibly expensive like the ZR1. And when they are in production, you can walk into a dealership and order one without having to be on some priority customer list like you do with the ZR1. And the best part about the Grand Sport is that they're naturally aspirated and lighter than the ZR1. And then on top of all that, when you add a mid-engine layout into the mix, it just gets that much better.
Praise God! And God bless the United States of America!
And they're essentially the perfect Corvette, especially when they have a manual transmission.
Is that possible?
Possible. It's 100 to 1 shot.
But that is a whole other subject, which we're gonna talk about in just a little bit.
I want to have a car that attracts a woman with a shave down below.
Well, that would be a Corvette.
So over the past few weeks, we have been getting bombarded with news about the upcoming Grand Sport. Some of it has been speculation, some of it has been wishful thinking, and some of it has been very matter of fact. So with all of the information out there that's been published, what's true and what isn't? One thing we're pretty sure about with the C8 Grand Sport is the engine. And from what we know, it's going to be a brand new 6th generation small block 6.7 liter V8 with aluminum overhead cams and both direct and port fuel injection. The new engine is expected to remain naturally aspirated and produce anywhere from 500 to 600 horsepower. The current lineup for the C8 offers 3 different engines. Base model Stingrays and E-Rays are fitted with the 6.2 liter LT2 crossplane V8 that produces 495 horsepower. The Z06 has a 5.5 liter flat plane LT7 that produces 670 horsepower, and the ZR1 and ZR1X have the turbocharged version of the LT7 that produces 1064 horsepower. Chevy would most likely be slotting the Grand Sport between the Stingray and Z06, and we can realistically expect the new motor to produce around 550 horsepower.
Sound good? Yes, sir!
Now we need to talk about something. Some of you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, and that makes me kind of sad. Because instead of watching my channel, where an actual human being does actual research and delivers automotive news to you in a funny and sometimes offensive ways, you're just getting bombarded with AI garbage that isn't accurate or offensive. And I don't think that's good for anyone. So click below to subscribe to my YouTube channel and start living.
You just gotta keep living, man. L-I-V-I-N.
Now, as far as hard evidence that Chevy is preparing a new Grand Sport for 2026, we've got quite a bit of it. General Motors filed for a trademark for Corvette Grand Sport with the United States Patent and Trademark Office on May 26, 2022 in the category of motor land vehicles, namely automobiles, and the serial number is 974-30541. So that sounds pretty promising. Also, Hagerty very matter-of-factly reported that Mark Roos, president of General Motors, stated the following: GM's new small block V8 engines are engineered to be lighter, more powerful, and more efficient. They will power our full-size trucks and SUVs with additional applications to be confirmed at a later date. We are proud of our nearly $1 billion investment to prepare 4 US plants to produce these world-class engines. Hagerty also states that a high-ranking GM authority who requested anonymity said the following: "The star of the 2027 parade will be a Corvette Grand Sport, rolling forth with wider bodywork to accommodate larger wheels and tires. What will be known as the LS6 V8 will continue with a traditional pushrod valve train, 4.4-inch bore spacing, both direct and port fuel injection, and aluminum block and head construction. New features include a forged steel crankshaft with a longer stroke and a revised combustion chamber design. Displacing 6.7 liters, this new engine is expected to produce 525 to 550 horsepower." And Hagerty also reported that the Grand Sport is expected to have a base price that is below $100,000. So these are a lot of statements that very directly confirm a C8 Grand Sport, and I personally think Hagerty is a trustworthy source.
He ain't lying.
Another bit of promising information comes to us from GM Authority, who published a few images of some different prototypes that they believe are for the Grand Sport. So let's take a closer look at these. At a quick glance, we can see that this is something new as it utilizes the wide body of the Z06, but has the exhaust setup and rear diffuser of the Stingray. But if we take a close look at the section of the rear fascia below the engine vents and just above the tailpipes, we can see there has been a slight redesign to make room for something new. This could either be for a new exhaust, a new transmission, or simply a new bumper that had to be pushed farther back to accommodate a new exhaust or transmission. It's too early to say, but there is definitely a subtle but significant redesign on this particular prototype. Another big piece of evidence supporting the upcoming Grand Sport is the 3 RPO codes that were linked directly from GM. The 3 codes are Z15, which is clearly the sales package add-on for the Grand Sport. The next code is the Z16 Special Edition Appearance Package, which is believed to include additional graphics and badging. And finally, there is the Z25 Limited Edition Anniversary Appearance Package, which most likely adds on even more graphics and badging. So the fact that we have 3 sales packages from GM for the C8 Grand Sport is pretty concrete evidence that the car is happening.
A guarantee.
So now that we've talked about the facts, let's talk about the speculation.
False allegations and not facts.
Far and away, the most discussed topic about the upcoming Grand Sport is the possibility of a Tremec M6 manual transmission being a factory option.
It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Now, I'm a manual transmission person myself. I only buy cars that have manual transmissions, so I'm right there with you. And yes, a manual option on the Grand Sport would make it one of the most desirable cars in production today, but there is no evidence that that's going to happen. And if we look at this from both logical and financial perspectives, there are several reasons why GM won't be putting a manual transmission in a new Corvette ever again.
Which I admit is both bogus and sad.
First off, the C8 Corvette competes directly with McLaren, Ferrari, and Lamborghini. And these are all companies that abandoned the manual transmission years ago. Second, GM's cost for putting a manual transmission in a Corvette would be significantly higher than just using the automatic transmission that it was designed around.
We got a point.
And it simply wouldn't make financial sense for them to do that solely for a small volume car such as the Grand Sport. It would be a different story if GM was planning to reintroduce the manual transmission for several of their models, but to reintroduce it for an extremely niche trim of an extremely niche car just doesn't make sense.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
And finally, the unfortunate fact is that the vast majority of supercar owners simply don't want manual transmissions.
He's out of line, but he's right.
So as badly as some of us would love to have a manual transmission in the upcoming Grand Sport, it's just not going to happen. But I will say this, if they do put a manual transmission in the upcoming Grand Sport, I will buy one. I will place my order the moment the order books open if that happens.
He ain't lying.
Another Grand Sport rumor that's been circulating is the addition of an all-wheel drive version.
Right.
And I'm not sure why this rumor even exists, because the whole point of the Grand Sport is to have a lighter, more balanced, and more pure driving experience, and all-wheel drive would just make the car heavier and more complicated. Plus, there's really no cost-effective way for GM to make the Grand Sport all-wheel drive without adding an electric motor, which would take us even further away from the Grand Sport ethos. So simply put, it's not going to be happening.
Damn right.
And the final bit of speculation surrounding the Grand Sport is that GM is not going to build it.
What? What the fuck?
Yep, for every Grand Sport enthusiast, there is a Grand Sport naysayer who claims that it's not going to happen. And to you, I say,
you've got some attitude, mister.
Now, some of these naysayers are claiming that GM isn't going to build the Grand Sport because the E-Ray already slots in between the Stingray and Z06. But the E-Ray is for people who want a hybrid vehicle with the latest technology, whereas the Grand Sport is for people who want a track-focused Corvette that's light and simple. So, totally different customers. Plus, the E-Ray isn't selling well, and it's predicted that a new Grand Sport could account for as much as 40% of Corvette sales. And GM is not about to throw away a huge sales increase to protect a car that isn't selling. So now the remaining questions are, how much will it cost? When will it be revealed? And when will you be able to take delivery of one?
Well, are you gonna go for it?
As reported by Haggerty, the price for the Grand Sport will be under $100,000, which essentially means about $98,000, which would make it about $30,000 less than the Stingray, $11,000 less than the E-Ray, $20,000 less than the Z06, and $85,000 less than the ZR1. Now that's obviously a lot more than anyone was hoping to pay. But surely GM has noticed how much all of us are freaking out over a C8 Grand Sport, and they know they can charge whatever they want for it.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
And to make things even worse, there's the very likely possibility of dealerships jacking up the base price and adding on additional fees, which, given the current excitement, they most certainly will.
Man, it's the same bullshit they tried to pull in my day.
So we'll just have to wait and see what the actual prices are after all the dust settles.
Yeah, well, that ain't nothing but a thing.
And when will we see this car? Since it has a brand new engine, that means a lot more testing is needed for the motor, transmission, and exhaust components. And most likely, the very soonest GM will reveal it is the middle of 2026 as a 2027 model. So we won't be seeing it anytime soon, but we can expect to be seeing it sometime this year. And hey, that just gives you more time to save up more money.
All right, all right, all right.
And should you become one of the proud owners of a C8 Grand Sport, when can you expect to take delivery? Unfortunately, there's no good news here. Even though the ZR1 has been on sale for a few months now, used examples are still selling for well above sticker on auction sites like Bring a Trailer. And this is a pretty good indicator of just how many people are still desperate to get their hands on one as fast as possible. And it will likely be several more months before production numbers begin to meet demand. That means that many ZR1 customers will be waiting over a year to receive their car. And since the Grand Sport will be at a much lower price point, demand will be even higher. So unless you have some pretty serious connections or GM opens an additional factory, you might not be receiving your Grand Sport until a year after it's revealed.
Don't be looking at me like that, all right? I can feel your look.
So all we can do for now is kick back and watch the news updates and information leaks roll in. And I will be reporting more about the Grand Sport as soon as new information is available. So if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, click here to subscribe.